2019, and I am interviewing Mr. Jeff Koenke at the Newkirk Public Library. What motivated you to join the National Guard?
I was regular Army.
Oh, sorry. Use the other question.
What motivated you to join the military?
I don't know. My childhood hero was Audie Murphy. I don't know whether you know who he is or not. One of the most highly decorated soldiers of World War II. And then he became a movie star, but he was the real deal. He was a CMH recipient, Congressional Medal of Honor. And then, of course, John Wayne and all the war movies he did. And upon graduation, I asked my girlfriend to marry me, and she said no. So, I mean, that kind of put the icing on the cake, and I ran off and joined the military.
Tell me a little about your time in basic training.
It was a real eye-opener. You know, I played organized sports and had some coaches that were pretty tough, but nothing compared to drill sergeants. And I know now, I mean, you know, 10 years before I went in, it was a lot tougher. When I went in, it was tough enough, but it's gotten less and less. The drill sergeants could get in your face, and they could knock you around, and which they're not allowed to do now. But their job is to tear you down and build you back up, so that when an order is given, you follow that order without question. It's what keeps people alive and keeps them out of harm's way.
What was your primary job after training?
There's different ways of looking at that, but I was a paratrooper, so as far as I'm concerned, that was my primary job, was to be a paratrooper. But I was my actual MOS was a 36K2P, which was a field wireman.
Where were you deployed?
Deployed as my first permanent party duty station was with 1st Battalion 509 Airborne Infantry, Vicenza, Italy. He was assigned to NATO, CTAF, Southern European Task Force. That was in 1974.
What was the most demanding part about your deployment?
At the time, you know, when I graduated high school, I was 17, and then shortly after I turned 18, that's when I joined the military. It's, you know, growing up, being at home with your family, and then being away from your family for that length of time, and the trials and things that you go through to succeed in the military. You know, but I was still in the United States, so, you know, in between training and jump school and all that, I was able to come home. So it wasn't too awful bad till I went to Italy. That's a long ways off, you know, and there's nobody there that's family, and I think that's probably the hardest thing is, you know, especially if you have a close family and rely on one another, and then when you're not there and they're not around, then it's pretty good eye opener.
Where did you serve the majority of time in service?
Actually, it was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, with the 82nd Airborne.
What rank are you most proud to have earned, and why?
Probably E3, which is PFC. I was honor graduate out of my company at the end of training. Had the highest scores, and hadn't gotten in any trouble. So I mean, that was part of the criteria, and got a nice certificate, you know, honor graduate and all that, and got that promotion of one rank. So it was nice.
Which medals or citations are you most honored to have received, and why?
Jump wings. It's somewhere around 7% plus or minus of the population of the United States has served in the military. They're veterans of all the branches, and out of that 7%, 1% plus or minus are paratroopers. So it's near and dear to my heart.
That's cool. Tell me about some of the special people you met.
Well, there's some good special people and bad special people, but nonetheless, they're all special, in and out. And like I say, most of my time was spent on jump status, being a paratrooper. The training and your exercises are a lot different than the exercises, meaning when you go out into the field as a unit and train. But you're with these people 20 hours a day. They become your family, and so the relationship that you have with these people is it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it yourself, but it's more of a brotherhood than a because you've got their back, they've got yours, no matter what the situation is.
What was the best and worst military food you were served, and why?
Well, there's two things. The first would be grits. I'd never had them before. I thought it was cream of wheat, and I put sugar and milk on it, and when I took a bite, it was all I could do to keep from spitting it out, because I'd never had grits before. And the other is SOS, and I'm not going to say what they call it, but it's the lay term for it is on a shingle.
Tell me a funny story you experienced that could only happen in the military.
Oh, wow. Probably one of the funniest things that I remember is, and of course it happened to me, so I went through it too. But when you sign into your unit as a paratrooper, you make 5 jumps at jump school, and it's just daylight jumps, just the parachute and no gear. But when you get to your unit, you have to start making combat equipment jumps and night jumps and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I've been in my unit for a while, nobody'd ever say anything, but then we had a night jump coming up. Well, all the old guys that were there started telling all the new guys to be sure and go to supply and draw your canopy lights, because we were making a night jump, and which they don't exist, but okay, it's night, you need lights, so a canopy is your parachute. And so, in my mind, I'm thinking lights around the canopy so you can see, and they don't exist. It's just something that they kind of put every new paratrooper through. So I think that's probably one of the funniest things I remember.
How does your military experience affect your life today?
I made the rank of E5, which is the bottom NCO rank. I'm a graduate of the 18th Airborne Corps Non-Commissioned Officers Academy, which I'm very proud to have been chosen and graduated that. But as a sergeant, I was in charge of 22 people. I guess you could say I'm an authoritarian, because when I tell somebody to do something, I expect them to do it. It helped me in leadership roles outside of the military, after the military, handling and dealing with people. Just my bearing and my outlook on life, I think, was shaped by the time I was in the military.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No. My term of enlistment was 1973 through 1977. I did not ever serve in combat. I had orders for Vietnam, but the unit that I was assigned to was the 509th in Italy, and they were one of the longest serving units in Vietnam, so they were one of the first ones that were shipped out when they started the cutback of soldiers. And so when I left the United States, or when I graduated jump school, I was going to Vietnam, but a week before I left, I got new orders and was going to Vicenza, Italy. So I feel fortunate that and blessed that I did not have to serve in combat. But it's one of those things that it's a life experience that I missed out on. But like I say, I'm very blessed that I did miss out on it. But a lot of my friends didn't, and quite a few of the people that I knew were killed in Vietnam. So I mean, so I'm considered a Vietnam era veteran. I get all the same benefits because I served during that period of time. I just did not serve in a war zone. So.
Well, thank you for letting me interview you, and thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
I have a question. How did you choose to be a paratrooper?
John Wayne, the Green Beret, the movie. That was probably when I enlisted. The only thing I asked for was jump school.
Really?
And
they honored that request.
Well, yeah, they gave you two when I was enlisted, and the job that you chose depended on it. Was it the what is the military test that you take? I can't remember what the actual name of it is, but you take a test, and it's a broad spectrum test, and it rates you, and then you're only allowed to go into the jobs that you score high enough. My score was high enough I could have chose anything, and I didn't choose a job. Hindsight, I should have chose something that I could have used in civilian life, and I didn't. And like I said, the only thing I asked for was jump school. So. And you asked another funny thing, just because we're here talking. I've got one tattoo, and it's airborne tattoo. I got that tattoo before I went to jump school. And I tried hiding it with gauze and tape, I know now in the military when they do PT, physical training, they usually have tennis shoes, shorts, or sweats, and regular running type gear. When I was in, you did PT, you took your blouse off, your shirt, and untucked your t-shirt and unbloused your boots, and you did all your PT in combat boots and fatigues. So when we do our PT, you drop your shirt, Well, that tattoo's right there, and of course, these guys, drill sergeants are for basic and AIT. Jump school are black hats, and they're worse than any drill sergeants you'll ever see. And they wanted to see everybody's tattoo, so I had to take it off. And then they said, "Hey, look here, this guy thinks he's airborne." And so my whole class time, school time, 5 or 6 times during the day, he said, "Where's that guy that thinks he's airborne?" And depending on how you were dressed, you either did push-ups, or you had to run around the field, or if you were in harness, which is the parachute harness without the parachute, you had to do what they call beat your boots, and you do knee bends to tap the top of your boots. So I got a whole lot more physical training than did anybody else in my company, because I've got that tattoo before I was went to jump school. And I don't know where they do it now, but when you graduate, you get a set of silver wings. I was going to bring mine, but I forgot. And it's like a tie tack. It's got the little pins on it and the little clips. Well, you're standing in formation, and the battalion commander comes through, and he unbuttons the top button on your shirt, takes the pins off, and hands them to the captain standing next to him, or the sergeant major, I can't remember, but anyway, he pulls your shirt out, pokes those wings into your shirt, and then hands you the clips. And then he moves to the, you salute, he moves to the next guy. And it had to be a sergeant major, because an officer wouldn't have done it. But then he takes the palm of his hand and goes, and drives those wings into your chest. They're affectionately referred to as blood wings. Rite of passage. I think they would probably call that hazing in the real world, but my scars were there for a long time. It's just, another one of the things that I'm proud of. I mean, like I say, it's less right at 1% of 7% that are jump qualified. So.